Hello friends, my name is Shashank and welcome back to my channel Corporate Guy. And today in this video, we're going to talk about how to create a dynamic cascading dropdown in PowerApps. So in my previous video, I discussed and explained a very simple process on how to create cascading dropdown values in PowerApps, but with the static values or hard coded values which can only be changed if you change the underlying code within the Power Apps. But in this video I will talk about how to create a dynamic drop down, which means that in that drop down you can easily add or remove values which are already existing in the drop down or in the database. So for that I'm not using any external database which you can use such as SharePoint, Excel or any other database, but I'm using a Power App feature which is called a collection or a temporary database which is within the Power App. So I have used that collection to collect my entries and then use them as the drop down values. So let me just give you one example. First of all, let me just add here apple. So this is a category and this is let's say it's a subcategory fruit. So when I click on the submit record, it will take these values and save it in the database, which is a collection, and also those values will be available on the gallery also to show you that these values has been added here, right? And similarly those values will also be available in the drop down. Let me select apple and then you can select the underlying subcategory of that, which is a fruit, right? So this is how you can create these kind of cascading dynamic drop down values in Power Apps. And also if you're using a collection and you want to delete something from the existing collection, you can simply click on this delete button. It will remove it from the the collection, right? So and now I am back with these empty drop downs, right? So one more feature which I've added here to avoid people adding the blank values, such as if I just give a space and leave it and go to the next field and I add apple here, and when I hit a submit record, it will give me an error that both category and subcategory values are required, and it will not save those values in the collection, right? So I can't see anything here. So until I add something in both of these fields, only then these values will be saved, right? So now you can see this is added in the collection. So now let's understand how to create a similar dynamic drop-down cascading values in Power Apps using collection as a database. So this is my screen on which I was working. So I'll just simply duplicate this screen and I'll explain the step-by-step process how to do that. While it is being duplicating, I'll remove all these existing fields and I'll restart everything from the scratch to give you an idea what kind of functions has been used here. And even if you want to add some more features, you are free to do such, right? So I'll start adding first of all with the two input text fields here, which will be used as the input fields to collect data to save in the database. So this is one, and then I'll just simply copy paste it. That will be my second field, and then I'll add a button here, right? So this is the button to submit the records. So this is my button. Let me just rename it, save record. All right, so now I'll add two drop downs here, drop down 1 and drop down 2 for the category and subcategory, right? So this is my drop down 1. Let me resize it and then I'll copy paste it. It will be my drop down 2 for the subcategory. All right, so now let's start first with by changing the names. So text input canvas 1, I'll make it text text category, right? And for the text canvas 1-1, I'll use it text subcat, right? And for the drop down, I'll use dd cat, and for the subcategory, I'll use dd subcat, right? So it's easy to remember these names. And let's start. So first of all, we'll start with the button, because this is where we have to do a lot of work to write code or a function, right? So let's go to the onSelect property of the button, which you can find on these properties, and we'll start with a very easy function, which is if We all are familiar with that, and we'll start with the function which is called is blank, right? If these values are not blank, because we are not saving the blank value. So first feature is the to look for if there is any blank values in these fields, right? So if there is no blank value, it will trim those values to avoid any empty spaces, right? So it will trim text cat, right, dot value. So in case you are using the legacy text field, so you can use dot text. If you're using the new features, which is the preview features, then you have to use a value function here, right? And then close these parentheses. Then and similarly we'll copy paste the same function here. If it is not blank, then it will again ask for a trim, but is and the trim will be used for the text subcat, right, dot value. And then we'll close the parentheses here, and then we'll start with the collect function, and this collect function will save these values in the collection, right? So I'm giving it a local database, local DTB, right? And then we'll start with parentheses, which is curly parentheses. So first we'll start with the ID. What is the ID? So ID is a unique value which is being generated automatically when you submit any record in the collection, right? And then category. So how we will collect the category? We'll collect it from the text cat dot value. So category is equal to, then again we'll use the trim feature to avoid any other, it's a second check on the first trim function which we used. So trim trim text cat dot value, and then close the parentheses here, and then again start with the comma, and then we'll use subcategory, right? And again we'll use trim function here, trim, and we'll use text subcat dot value, close the parentheses, right? And this is where we are closing the values which are being saved, right, in the collection. And next we'll start the other function, which is the resetting of these values. So why do we need to reset? Because once you've entered a value, you don't want somebody else to again accidentally save those values within the database. So these text fields will be blank once you have submitted your values, right? So this is where we'll close it, and then we'll start with semicolon the index function, which is the reset function, to reset these both text fields, text category, and then again reset text subcat, right? And I'll explain how these functions are being used here to avoid to handle the errors, right, for error handling. So notification, we'll start with the notify first. So notify, what are we going to notify? That we have to fill both of these values. Please fill both category and subcategory, right? And close it with the inverted commas, and then we'll start with the notification type, what kind of notification you want to display it for your users. So that is notification type dot error, and then we have to close it with the parentheses, and then final parentheses. That's it. And this is the function we're going to use. Let me just explain again. So the way this function has been used is to avoid resetting these two text fields in case the above conditions are not met. So if we don't use this reset functions within the if function, it will reset the values even if there is an error. So you have to retype everything, right? So to avoid that, we have written that reset function within the if function. So let us test this if it is working fine, right? Apple, and then it is a fruit. So let's hit save. So we guess it is saved. So to make sure that your value is saved, you can do one thing. You can go to this function, which is a variables, and go to this local database which we have just created. So we have already two collections. So this is the latest one, and if you go and click right, you can see the table, and you will see that these three values has been created just now. So this is the unique ID which has been created by the PowerApps, which is unique. So you can take this for a reference in case you want to delete something or edit something, right? So this is how you can see that your function is working fine. So now the next step is to link that collection on the drop downs, right? So we will just simply use distinct function in case you want to display only the distinct values. So distinct local DTB, and that's it. Sorry, no, and then the category local DTB, comma, the category. And this is where you will see that first dropdown which we created is now visible on the dropdown, right? And now this is empty, so we will just use a filter function to use a cascading function here. So how to use a filter function? Simple, it's very simple. You just have to start with the filter. So what you want to filter? You want to filter your local DTB, which is a local database which we have just created, and then you have to filter it based on the category. So what is the category? Category will be taken, the value of category will be taken from this drop down. So that is the, sorry, yeah, from this drop down, which is dd cat, right? So dd cat dot value dot selected dot value, and this is where we are going to collect a value from the drop down, and then it will filter these rows and columns based on the value which we have selected on the first drop down, and it will display the subcategory in on the second drop down. So let's run this and see if it is working fine. So now we have Apple, and then we have this number. So how to avoid this number? You can just simply select the drop down, go to the edit, and then go to the add field and select a subcategory here and add. So now you can see the number, you can see the value, the actual value of the drop down, right? So apple, this is a fruit, so this is the first value which we added. So this is how you can create a dynamic cascading drop down. And the next feature we are going to add here is a gallery, from where you can remove values from the collection, right? So for that, I'll just simply move it a little bit up to make some space here for the gallery. So I'll just simply add a vertical gallery, right? And this is it, and then we will link it back to our database, right? Let me just add it first here, and then we'll link it with the database. Resize it a bit, and then we will change the template here. I'll go to the layout, and I'll use only title and subtitle, right? And on the title and subtitle, we can also change the fields which we are going to use. So on the title, I'm going to use, sorry, we have not linked our database here. So first of all, I'll select the gallery, and I'll go to the items property. I'll mention local DTB here. So now we have linked it with our database. So now we can select what values we're going to display here. So it's already selected, category and subcategory. So next thing is we have to change color here so that we can see the values. This is white, and let's give it a different color, let's say yellow. So now we have fruit and we have apple, and now next is this arrow. So generally this arrow is used to navigate to a different form or a screen, but we will just simply select this arrow. We'll go to the icons and replace it with the trash icon, right? That's how easy it is. So just go and change the color. If you want to change the color of this icon, I'll make it yellow, and maybe a little bit bigger. Maybe let's say the size is 50-50. Let's make it 80 and 80. So now we have added a remove button here. So we're going to add a simple function here, which will not only remove these values from the gallery, but also from the database. So we'll start with the very easy function, which is a remove function, which is used to delete values from the gallery. So remove, what you want to remove is local DTB. And how do we remove it? Because there are two ways by which you can remove it. One is simply use a remove function and give a reference on the local database and the selected item, but that will only remove values from the gallery, but not from the collection. So we'll use this lookup function to remove it, delete it from the local database, from the collection local database. And how do we remove it and how do we reference it? We use it id is equal to this item dot id, and we close the parentheses, right? And now we have this feature here, which is remove local DTB, lookup for the local DTP and lookup for the ID, right? It is asking this function to look up for this specific ID and then remove it from the database. So let's run this and see. If I click on this, it should remove it from here. And let's see if it is removed from the local database. Yes, now it is removed from the local database as well, right? So this is how you can create this simple function in the Power Apps. And one more thing which you have to do is you have to go to the screen on the app, and you have to write a function which is on start function of a Power App, where you will you're going to what you call load your database here, right? So we'll start with the clear collect function here. So clear collect, right? And then we'll load the database, which is local DTB, and now we have this on start feature ready. So now let's run this application and let me add few features here. Apple is a fruit. Let me save that in a record. Orange is a fruit. Let me add that in a record. Red is a color. Let me add that in a record. So let's see, if I select red, will I get a fruit or a color here? So it will only give me a color. So this is how the cascading features work in Power Apps or in the Dropdowns, which only shows the values which are relevant to the first dropdown which you have selected. So I hope this will help you to create your own dynamic cascading dropdowns in Power Apps. So if you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this channel, and put down your comments and let me know if you want me to come up with any other video, any specific topic which you want me to cover on Power Apps. So until then, thank you so much for watching this video. Stay tuned and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much.